All right, we're back. I had some audio issues before. I think we're all set right now. So, I want to talk about this Ryan Garcia situation with the information that's going on with this alleged positive test. I guess it's positive, but there's more than meets the eye here. And a lot of reporters are accusing other people of misrepresenting this story. Um, they're saying things that, there's allowable amounts, there's not allowable amounts, strict liability. And I don't think a lot of people actually did the research. I'm not here as a defender of Ryan Garcia. I'm here as a defender of the truth, and I'm here as a defender of the facts. So you're hearing people talk about this strict liability, but what they don't understand, under strict liability, there's also part of that rule which states, and I have it up here on the screen if you could see it, it says elimination or reduction of period of ineligibility based on exceptional circumstances. Okay? So, what this means is, regardless if an athlete is responsible for what is put in this system, right? The athlete has the possibility to avoid or reduce sanctions if the athlete can prove or demonstrate that he or she was not at fault or significant fault. That's Article 10.5 in the Wada Protocol, which falls under strict liability. So there is something within the strict liability that states that if you're not at fault or you knowingly did not take the substance, right, that you could not be sanctioned, or your sanction can be reduced significantly, right? That's the truth here. So let me see if I can find some other stuff here that I wanted to actually show. I'm going to stop that, and what we're going to do is we're going to present something else. All right, let's take a look at, we'll put that back up. We're going to share this. I'm going to see if we can scroll a little bit here. See if I can find it. Because there's other misinformation out there that there's no allowable limit of Ostarine. But I found some information that was posted, right? See if I can find it. Where there's a 1 nanogram allowable limit in New York. And I'm just trying to find that here on Twitter. Okay, let me see if I can find that. Okay. In 1 second, we will find that. But there is something that was posted here where there was an allowable limit. If I can find it on Twitter. Okay. So here it is. I'm going to share this. Okay. 1 second here. So, according to Ryan Garcia's lawyer, he's stating that there was 1 billionth of a gram in his system. And according to the New York State Athletic Commission, there is an allowable amount of 1 nanogram, which is 1 billionth of a gram, right? So there is an allowable limit of this substance that a fighter can have in the system, okay? Where they will not flag positive for it. Now, the problem with Vada is, just like the situation with the nandrolone, they're giving results to both fighters saying that there's possible that he tested positive for nandrolone. So once Devin Haney receives that, all of a sudden he's telling everyone, oh, he tested positive for 2 substances. Okay, well, why give the fighter a result if the result has not been confirmed? That's one flaw in Vada's system. So when you have USADA or you have UCAD, okay, what will happen is they will investigate the results before they put them out there. Okay? They will investigate the results before they put them out there to make sure that it's confirmed that the athlete tested positive for the substance. Okay? So, give me 1 second here. We're going to try to find Ryan Garcia's lawyer's statement if we can. It's hard to find all this stuff on Twitter. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to play you a video of a young lady who's 15 years old. She tested positive for Ostarine as well. And we're going to share her story, right? I'll let her tell her story on what happened here. Just give me 1 second. If we can do this, I'm going to play the video for you.
And I ended up going there, and I had a really good meet. I think I went 5 for 6 and broke 2 American records, so I was pretty...
I'm going to start this from the beginning.
My name is Abby Raymond, and I'm a 15-year-old U.S. Olympic weightlifter, and I used to be a gymnast. So when I stopped doing that, I got into CrossFit, and then CrossFit is what took me to weightlifting. I really wanted to pursue weightlifting at an elite level because I just loved everything about it, and I had that gut feeling that it was what I was supposed to be doing. When I started competing at the elite level, supplements were a part of my nutrition plan. I took a protein powder and a pre-workout. I got in touch with a family friend because they had just started their own supplement company, and they introduced me to their products and asked if I wanted to try it. And me and my dad even explained to them that I was randomly drug tested by USADA, and they kind of laughed and just shook it off and said I would have nothing to worry about with their products. At the time, I knew that there was always a risk with using supplements, but because I was guaranteed that I wouldn't have a problem with their products, I thought it would be okay to use. About 3 weeks after I started using the products, I was drug tested for the first time. USADA came to my house after I got done working out, and I was kind of excited but a little nervous too, because I didn't really know what to expect. But then again, I felt kind of honored that they even wanted to test me. And then I just went on training for a couple weeks after, because I was training for the American Open, and I ended up going there, and I had a really good meet. I think I went 5 for 6 and broke 2 American records, so I was pretty excited, and I took second overall. But then the day after I competed, I got a call from USADA saying that I tested positive for a drug called Ostarine. And I was really, really confused when I first heard that. And I didn't really know what I should have been feeling. And my family was really confused too. It was just a whole bunch of chaos, I guess. I don't know, because we didn't know where we should go from here. And I remember I just cried that whole night because I couldn't believe that this had happened, and I didn't know how it had happened. And I just kept asking the questions over and over again, like how and why. And then we got the products I was taking tested, and when they came back positive, it was really difficult to hear that. We called the owners right away. Even the owners, they didn't know it was where it was being made, where it happened. So I think it was just an accident for everybody. Knowing that the supplement that was contaminated came from somebody that I trusted, it showed me that even if you trust the person, you can't always trust the product. I started to accept the situation more, and I I made peace with it almost. Like, it happened, and I'm a strong believer that things happen for a reason. And I didn't know the reason at the time. I think this is the reason now, so I can help other people and help them not to make the same mistake I did.
All right, so even supplement companies don't know always what's in their supplements because they're having their supplements being made in factories, and they don't know if the factory is making the supplements and their supplements in that factory are getting contaminated. So everyone wants to say, oh, everybody is supposed to be responsible for what's in their system. Okay, I get it. I understand. But, at the end of the day, there's a lot of nuances to this. The same thing with Canelo Alvarez. When he goes into a restaurant, is he supposed to take his steak at the restaurant, and is that steak supposed to be sent to a lab before he eats it? So again, you're buying protein powder from a supplement company, and it could be contaminated with Ostarine. And how are you supposed to know that? So it's everybody wants to look at this and not look at circumstance. It's either pass or fail, guilty or not guilty. But again, take away all the craziness and all the stupid things Ryan Garcia is saying. It is plausible, very plausible, giving the evidence that, once again, this is through supplement contamination. So even the supplement companies can say, oh, we don't have that in our supplement. How do they know? How do they know the factory in which their supplement was being manufactured didn't get contaminated there? That's why Ryan Garcia is going to have to give up all his supplements, and they're all going to have to be tested to see if they're contaminated, right? So let's share this other information, because there's another piece of misinformation. I actually found it. I couldn't find it before. And this is about the allowable limit. As you can see here, there is an allowable limit for Ostarine. Okay, there is 1 nanogram that is allowed, which is the amount that his lawyer is claiming was in his system. Victor Conte is saying there was 6 nanograms. Again, I'm not going to go back and forth and argue and fight with Victor Conte. The lawyer is saying 1 nanogram. Okay, so people are saying there's no allowable amount. That's incorrect, because there is an allowable amount in New York State Athletic Commission, as stated here. It's 1 nanogram. Okay, so that's another fallacy that has been debunked. There is an allowable limit, right? And strict liability, you can get off on strict liability. You can have your sanctions significantly reduced, or you can avoid it altogether if Wada or whoever and the commission does the investigation under consultation through Wada. And if Wada says, yeah, we believe this is from a tainted supplement, they'll take that under advisement and they'll make their decision. Vada does not investigate. They do not adjudicate. All they do is report the results. And as I explained, they just report the results without even the results being confirmed, as we saw with Artur Beterbiev, and we're seeing in this case with the nandrolone. So once again, you're smearing somebody without having full confirmation that they actually took the substance. So we're going to look at another situation here. Shan Ali, the UFC fighter, where it was investigated and it was put out there that he ingested Ostarine through no knowledge of his own, through tainted supplements. And then we're going to pull that up right here. So as you can see, if you look at the trace amounts here, I'm going to see if we can scroll this here. Just for 1 second. So O'Malley gets banned for trace amounts. Let me see if I can try and scroll here. For whatever reason, they're not letting me scroll it. Let me get to the part that's important to read, right? And then we'll screen share that. Okay. Here we go. So we got this. We were able to scroll this. Okay, so USADA has okay, 1 second here. So we're going to get the information. Okay, so this is from Shan Ali. Okay, give me 1 second here. We will pull this up. Okay, present, share screen. Okay. So here it is. USADA has notified me that Ostarine, substance that shut up in my system last year and led to a USADA sanctioning, has resurfaced at an extremely low level in 2 recent tests. The good news is that USADA said is most likely residual from last year and that the low level provided me with no performance. That's why USADA is not resanctioning me for these test results. They already served a USADA sanction for the presence of Ostarine in my system, and it has decreased dramatically since last year. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the original sanction that they put on him and how they determined that sanction. Okay, so let's take a look at that. So he only received a 6-month ban. All right, I'm going to pull this out. And we're going to show you what USADA did, how they came to determination. So he got a ban for trace amounts. Let me see. All right, so here we're gonna come to USADA's determination here and what they did and how they significantly reduced his ban because of what they determined. Okay. So if you read here, it says that O'Malley tested positive for Ostarine before a scheduled bout last October 2029. He was suspended for 6 months by the Nevada State Athletic Commission in November. USADA also suspended O'Malley for 6 months, reducing a potential 2-year ban because the agency found no evidence of intentional use of the drug. There were also traces of Ostarine found in out-of-competition sample from O'Malley on December 28th, but USADA considered it one violation because the amount in both samples was consistent with ingestion prior to the initial positive test. So again, even at worst case, you get sanctioned for this, it's usually 6 months. Sometimes it's even been 3 months. So again, there have been cases of this through contamination where athletes have not knowingly taken it, right? And there's also we're going to share this story here. This is very, very interesting when you see this. Okay, so we're going to take evidence of cross-contamination here. So if you look at this and you read this, right? Ostarine was identified in 12 selected pieces of sleeves of concentration ranging from 3 to 142 picograms. Sport authorities agreed that most likely source of contamination from the hamstring sleeves, thus confirming the scenario of drug transfer and gave the athlete a no fault, meaning these athletes actually were using knee sleeves, right? They were sharing knee sleeves, right? And through the knee sleeves, there was contamination, right? That's what it's found. This was confirmed in her hair and fingernail clippings and her toenail clippings to document the presence of Ostarine in the hamstring sleeves and therefore possible drug transfer. The hamstring sleeves were analyzed. Once Ostarine was identified in 12 selected pieces of about 1 gram of the sleeves, concentration ranging from 3 to 142 picograms. Sports authorities, USADA, agreed that most likely source of contamination was the hamstring sleeves, thus confirming the scenario of drug transfer and gave the athlete a no fault. So there's cases where the suspension has been lifted entirely, not even no sanction has been initiated, or it's been significantly reduced. So again, there is evidence here of this people testing positive for this substance through contamination, but nobody wants to tell you that. Nobody also wants to tell you that there's an allowable amount of 1 nanogram, according to the Nevada State Athletic Commission. So again, there's a lot of misreporting out there, right? And the truth will come to the surface when it's all said and done. And given the evidence, right? And given the circumstances, and just looking at past cases of very similar circumstances, all the evidence points most likely, and I stress most likely, that Ryan Garcia ingested this substance through contamination, most likely through supplements. And even these supplement companies can say, oh, we don't have that in our product. They'll never know until their supplements get tested. Because again, I repeat, as was stated in that video with that young lady, the people who sold her those supplements did not know where in the factories where those supplements were being created that those supplements got contaminated. So even the producers of a supplement will not know if their supplement has been contaminated. Okay? So again, let's be objective here. All right? Let's take away all the stupid things Ryan Garcia said before the fight and is saying after the fight and is saying as results of this positive test. Let's just look at the facts. Let's look at the science. Let's look at empirical data, right? Let's look at evidence here where there have been cases, many cases in the past where people have tested positive for Ostarine through contamination. Some through knee sleeves, most from supplements. This poor 15-year-old girl, as I showed you in the video, tested positive, taking protein powders and pre-workouts. So again, we have to look at this objectively, and we can't say without a shadow of a doubt that he knowingly ingested this, given the amount that was in his system. Again, you can't microdose this drug. It's very unlikely this drug was microdosed because it stays in the system for roughly 12 days to 2 weeks, and it comes in 5 milligram to 10 milligram taps, right? It's not like you're injecting something and you can measure out how much you're injecting in your system, like testosterone, cypionate, and EPO, which is in and out of the system in 2 days. This stays in your system for a long time. And what are you going to do? How are you going to microdose a tablet? What are you going to break off pieces of a tablet and take it in over time? No, there's no benefit, right? There's no benefit. There's a recommended dose in order to get the benefit taking this drug. And if you take that recommended dose, right, you're going to have more than a billionth of a gram in your system. If you have a billionth of a gram in your system, this is very consistent with contamination. No one's going to take it, right before. That's a great point, Iceman. They're not going to take it because even when someone is cycling 10 days to 2 weeks before a fight, or 10 days to a week before a fight, they stop taking the drug in order to let their body the hormones in their body normalize and get back to homeostasis, right? So again, Victor Conte, I believe, knows all this, but he's just not going to say it. He knows that ingestion, this case is most likely from contamination. And I'm going to tell you, at the end of the day, it's going to be discovered, and it's going to the determination from the New York State Athletic Commission and the WBC. They're going to tell you this was from contaminated supplements, and if he receives any sanction at all, it'll be a post-dated 6-month ban. And I honestly believe that this decision will not be overturned. All right. So that's just it, man. That's just it. You guys can believe what you want to believe, but we're just going to recap real quick. There is an allowable limit, so that report was false. You're allowed to have 1 nanogram in your system, and you won't flag for it, according to the New York State Athletic Commission. There, you can get this through contamination, right? And even under strict liability, there is a no fault. If it's determined that you were at no fault or little fault, you can not be. They won't sanction you possibly, or your sanction will be immediately or significantly, I should say, reduced. Right. So that's it. And again, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole here, but I've talked about this whole Vada thing and this Victor Conte connection. So the only sport Victor Conte is allowed to really be in, the only sport that will give him the time of day, is boxing, right? No other athletes will work with him in any other sport. So in order to legitimize himself and sell his supplements and programs to people, he said, he'll say to you, okay, well, part of my program is Vada testing. All my athletes are Vada tested, right? So that's a cover for him, right? I'm not saying he's doing anything nefarious. I don't believe he is. I don't. I'm not saying he's doing anything wrong. You can question his motives. You can question his ethics. He's trying to make money. But the thing is he has a horrible reputation. And people don't want to work with him because of that reputation. And they're going to suspect him of nefarious things if they, work with him and they sign up for his program and they buy his supplements. So what he does is he tells them, hey, no. You don't trust me? You're going to get Vada tested. So Vada is being used by Victor Conte. That's why he sponsors a lot of these athletes and pays for these Vada tests, as a means to legitimize himself and his services, which I don't think there's anything wrong with his services or his supplements. There's nothing illegal about it, but he is using Vada to help clean up his image and help sell his programs and supplements as a way of saying, hey, if you work with me, you're going to be Vada tested. So there's no way anything bad can happen to you. There's no way you're going to test positive for something. And again, I don't think he's fixing the Vada tests at all. What I do think, though, is this whole pass or fail thing under any circumstance, and this whole thing with Vada having their own protocol that is different from WADA, I think it's designed as a way to catch more people so they can say they're better than everyone else. And I've explained several times before, they're hiring a collection agency, which is Claritum, and they're sending the results to a WADA accredited lab, just like USADA is, and just like UCAD is, and just like Drug Free Sport. They're all using the same labs. Now, if you're in UCAD, they have UCAD accredited lab. They have WADA accredited labs in the UK. United States, there's 2 WADA accredited labs, which one is in Salt Lake City, one is in Los Angeles. So the results are going to be what the results are going to be. But the way these results are sometimes interpreted, that's the difference. In competition and out of competition with the stimulants, we've already gone over that in the past, how the stimulants only have the benefit when they're taken. They're in and out of the system so quick. And if you're training on stimulants and then all of a sudden the day of the fight, you can't use those stimulants, then you're going to crash. You have no benefit. There's only an acute benefit of the stimulants. There's not a long-term benefit. That's why you have to continuously take the stimulant multiple times a day, every day, in order to get the benefit of that stimulant. So that's why Wada and the science is determined that you can take these out of competition. Vada says no, because they want to be able to, you know, have a way of having more people test positive, right? So again, and reporting a result of possibly testing positive for nandrolone without actually confirming it, in my opinion, is very irresponsible. That's that I don't think that they should have done that, because you're smearing somebody without knowing with 100% certainty if they actually tested positive. USADA doesn't do that, and UCOD doesn't do that. And then people will say, well, why did UCOD wait so long to tell people the result? Why? Because USADA and UCOD actually investigate the results because they want to be sure of the result. They want to make sure that the result is being interpreted properly. They're not going to say, well, he may be tested positive. Vada will do that. And it's very, very incompetent, in my opinion, if you're going to do that. I don't think that it's right for somebody to do that, in my opinion. I don't think it's right for them to do that, in my opinion. So at the end of the day, I gave you all the evidence. I've cleared up a lot of the misinformation. The strict liability does have an exception where you could be at no fault, which I've showed you in one case, or your ban can be significantly reduced, which I showed you in another case. Shan Ali was facing a 2-year ban. It was reduced to a post-dated 6-month because it was determined that the ingestion was for no fault of from himself, and he did it without knowing. All right, so this is not pass or fail as much as you guys. And if you really think that if someone has 1/billionth of a gram of Ostarine in their system, if you're going to sit there and think that that is a performance enhancement, then I'll get, okay. The science is going to tell you otherwise. Okay, science will tell you otherwise, and you can believe the hot takes that you're going to get on Twitter. Victor Conte, he's going to tell you what he's going to tell you. All right, is he lying? No, but he's not telling you the whole truth. So there's ways of manipulating people if you're not going to tell everybody the whole truth. There's ways to manipulate people if you're not going to tell everyone the whole truth. And Victor Conte knows that there's a strong, almost a certainty, right? It's almost certain that this was ingested through no knowledge of his own, through a tainted supplement. And to sit there and say, well, you should know what's being put in your body. Again, let's be realistic. You can go take a cold medicine, right? And it could have pseudoephedrine in it, which is a stimulant. And you can go take a Vada test, and you and I can test positive under the Vada protocol, right? It's that simple. You and I can go buy a protein powder from GNC without nandrolone or anything listed on the label, right? Any of us can. This isn't just athletes. You could go buy anything. You can buy a pre-workout, right? You could buy a legal testosterone booster. You could buy a protein powder. And that company who even made that protein powder, it could be made at a factory, right? In which the product becomes contaminated through no knowledge of the supplement company, right? Through no knowledge of the supplement company. Okay? So anybody, and this could happen to anybody. Anybody. That's a great question. So why didn't the contaminated supplements affect the prior tests? Very simple. It's all in the timing of when the supplements were taken. Right? You could take here's the thing, you could have a bottle of a supplement that has pills in it. You could be taking those pills throughout the course of time, throughout a period of time. Are every single pill in that bottle going to be contaminated? Maybe not. Why would you not take Ostarine, right? Throughout the whole training camp, and then all of a sudden decide to take it the week of the fight? Again, that's not how PED protocols are done. When you're cycling off a performance enhancing drug, you're not going to take it a week, 10 days before an event. So the chances of it being in your system at that time, right, are very low. Most athletes will test two weeks, 3 weeks out. Why would he test positive the day before the fight and the day of the fight? It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, woulda, coulda, shoulda. And Canelo Alvarez should have sent his steak to the lab. I mean, again, you're not gonna assume that you have to send a protein powder to the lab. Now, moving forward, what they will tell him is what they did with Shan Ali is. What they did with Shan Ali is they're telling him you have to keep a food log and you have to keep a supplement log. Right? Now, moving forward, they'll tell him, we need to know all of your supplements. We need to know what you're eating. They'll do that. They'll do that. But again, if you think that a nanogram of Ostarine in his system was a performance enhancement, then that's up to you to believe that. The science is going to tell you it's not. And the science is going to tell you that most likely this was ingested, right? Most likely this was ingested through contamination. All right, guys, I got to break out of here. Thank you so much for watching. This is probably the last video I'm going to make of it. Just needed to put out the correct information. Beeb is out. We'll talk to y'all soon. Have a great one.